What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. And I want to talk to you guys today about Lennox Lewis. I've read the comments. I've seen some things about Kurt's tripping. Kurt don't really like Lennox Lewis. There's a beef. What is your beef with Lennox Lewis? Okay. Now, I want to start from the beginning. All right. I want to start off. I respect Lennox Lewis. Okay, I respect him. I think he's a very talented, or was a very talented fighter, unless he decides to join the legendary league with Mike Tyson started, right? I think he had an impressive style, fucking ring IQ off the charts. His size, speed, jab, technique, skill, all that was in a pot for destruction. Absolutely. Lennox Lewis was the kind of motherfucker that, he could beat a Mike Tyson. He beat Evander Holyfield. They robbed him the first time. Actually, the second fight could have been a draw if they were going to call it a draw, but he beat them both. He beat Evander Holyfield. He never fought Riddick Bowe, nor Michael Moore, but that's okay. He fought Holyfield and Mike Tyson, which were considered higher on the elite status. Now, he never fought George Foreman either, but that's okay, because George Foreman, is from another era, I understood the biases of Lennox Lewis because he wasn't American. I can understand that. I can understand that, he went through a lot to get recognized in America. The things that he did, if other fighters would have done what he did, they would have been looked at as gods. Point taken. What's up, brother? Dark 1234. G. Counterpunch to you, bro. But like I'm saying, Lennox Lewis is a bad mother sucker. He knows he's a good fighter. All the things that he can do in the ring, he has done them. He's proven it. He made me respect him because I didn't really care for him. Now let's talk about that. Why didn't I care for Lennox Lewis? All right. It wasn't the fact that he couldn't fight. It wasn't the fact that he didn't have skill. It wasn't the fact that he didn't have punching power. He had the total package in the ring. But what he didn't, or what he lacked to me, was personality. I didn't like him. I didn't care for his personality. He was stale as a person. I personally didn't like his personality. Okay. Tony Graham, arrogant. That's why he never got that love he wanted. Yeah, see, Tony Graham, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't like his personality, and let me explain something about Lennox Lewis's personality. All right. Lennox Lewis was the type of guy, I think he walked around with a chip on his shoulder because he thought he should be more respected than he really was. And I think because he wasn't, he was an asshole. He might have been an asshole anyway. Blessings to you, Troy. The best of his era, 1992 to 1993. Yeah, that's only, a year. Jack McLeod Jr. There you go. I'm going to say, damn, it's only 1 year. What you talking about? 1 year champion. I reigned for 1 year. I'm the baddest mother sucker from 1992 to 1993. Big up England. Big up. Even that. Like, big up England. Big up. It's like, he didn't have a likable personality. And the shit that would come out of his mouth made you think like, dude, are you trying to be an asshole? Or are you an asshole? You know what I'm saying? Are you just naturally like that? Or are you trying to be like that because you're bothered about something? See, I did that video and I wanted to take time because I've been thinking that for a while. Yeah, I got a lot of criticism for it. I don't give a shit. That's how I felt. That was my counterpunch on Lennox Lewis. I think if Lennox Lewis would have fought Vitali Klitschko, knowing what we know now, people, okay? Let me clear something up to you. The guy that was interviewing him was Larry Merchant. Larry Merchant came out, showed his true skin. He was the wolf in sheep clothing, but you could always see the wolf hairs past the sheep, because he would always say little sly, slick shit to certain fighters, black fighters. He would do that shit all the time. It makes you think like, okay, a little slick shit. Nobody could ever do nothing good enough or whatever. He didn't like Lennox. Well, come to find out, not liking Lennox probably wasn't even a question of his personality. Liking Lennox was a question of he was just another black guy beating white fighters. Where the whole time he had a diabolical plan or desire to want white fighters to win. That's why he was giving Lennox Lewis that shit. But understand, that's not why I'm giving Lennox Lewis that shit. But I also want to understand why Larry Merchant wasn't doing it because of what it is, but he used that as a perfect opportunity because it presented itself. He should have fought Vitali. If he was able to knock Vitali out, he would have been another fucking guy or whatever they want to call it, a great white hope or whatever, that HBO and all those other guys wanted to push to the forefront by commentating, okay? That's that. Because that's all they were looking for. See, the irony of it was you had those two guys that the Klitschko's, two Eastern European for a very long time. Lennox Lewis started. Yeah, he talked that shit. That's the bring his brother on. Yeah, bring his fighting the best opposition at the time. Lewis is the result of fighting the best opposition and getting the fuck out because he tasted the best opposition and didn't like how it tastes. Respect for Vitali at that night because they stopped the fight. The fight it wouldn't like because Lennox Lewis was doing his thing, but so was Vitali. It was a back and forth fight. So since it was a back and forth fight, and if you have any type of fucking character, okay? If you have any character as a fighter or as a fucking person, honestly, he would have knew, hey, if it wasn't for the cut, the fight was close, let me give this man a rematch. Because, yes, this man woke me up. He hit me with some good shots. I hit him with some good shots. They stopped the fight. It's almost to me, this is what Lennox Lewis done. Lennox Lewis, hey, I got in a tough-ass fight, and thank God he was cut. Woo! I'm off the hook. I'm off the fucking hook. And I'm never gonna return again. See, it's a bitch move. That's a bitch move. Okay? Okay, let's look at it this way. Let's take another fighter, for example, that done the same thing. It is an undisputed situation or unified situation. Let's say Teofimo Lopez. Yeah, I'm doing that tonight at 9:30. But I gotta be somewhere. But I wanna chop it up with you guys about Lennox Lewis real quick. But let's give a comparison. Let's say that Teofimo Lomachenko. Fuck that. Let's say Lomachenko fought Teofimo Lopez. And Lopez was beating Lomachenko. Lomachenko cut Teofimo and he couldn't continue, and Loma won by default. Loma, instead of fighting him again, he retires. What type of person they would have thought that was? What kind of person would he be labeled as? How would they look at Lomachenko in that light? You guys tell me that. Yeah, he ducked a rematch. He ducked it. But what I'm saying, what if Loma would have won that way? What if Teofimo would have won that way? People would have ate his ass alive. But why ain't you fighting that guy? That was a pretty close fight. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, yo, I'm not buying in all that shit. Because I seen what happened. I'm like, yo, the fight's over. What happened? Yeah, the cut was bad. Don't get me wrong. The cut was bad. But here's the thing. That punch didn't land the way people... Lennox Lewis hit him on the side of the glove. It wasn't from the top, the front of that glove. It was from where the ridges of the glove, where the leather welded together. That's what cut Vitali. That's what cut him. It's like saying if Vlad beat Joshua and everybody was on his back to get the old man to fight Joshua again, should credit his old man beat the new. No, Adrian. Let me tell you why that's bullshit. Because do you think Lennox Lewis had missed a step by the time he fought Vitali? Do you think he was over the fucking hill? And that's another thing. That's a whole nother point I'm talking about. Lennox Lewis was not over the hump. The motherfucker just retired. And that's another thing. If you just retire and you know you're able to fight, what does that say about you? What does that say about you? That means that you don't want to put yourself up to the test, right? And you decide to retire because either you felt maybe the outcome would be different the next time. Come on, now let's just be real. Why did the motherfucker retire? Answer me that question. Why did he retire? Why did Lennox Lewis retire? I'll put him to rest. If they test, I'll put him to rest. Okay. You didn't put this motherfucker to rest. Yeah, you busted his eye open, and then the fight was over. He was beating Lennox Lewis on the cards, people. Understand that. This ain't a fucking Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz, because Ortiz was beating Wilder too. But you got to give Wilder more credit, because Wilder knocks motherfuckers out. Not saying Lennox ain't knocked nobody out. I ain't saying that. But what I'm saying, in this particular fight, it was bullshit. So his time to shine and to show people that, hey, I am the best, I am the greatest, and I can beat that guy. He didn't care about any of the criticism because some other judgment superseded that. It superseded that 100%. Had enough and no desire to train anymore. Can't blame the man for that, to be honest. Yeah, he could box still, but what if the desire wasn't there anymore? Vic, I guess so. I guess so. But I mean, okay. This is my problem, Vic. This is my problem. All right. Okay. He was out of his prime, but he was able to do that to Vitali. So you think he just scaved away? But the point I'm trying to make, guys, is what made him all of a sudden lose his desire to fight? Getting in a fight that close. That's just like Apollo. Remember Apollo from fucking Rocky? And how everybody was talking shit about him and Apollo that bothered him? Why didn't that bother Lennox Lewis? You see what I mean? If you're a fucking champion, like he's supposed to have been, that should have bothered him. He couldn't sleep at night from what the people said about him. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, it was a good fight. Very good fight. That's the problem. That's the whole point. The point is, yo, it was a good fight. You shouldn't have stopped the fucking fight. The fight was stopped. Which I think it should have been a no contest. And see, if it was a no contest, would Lennox Lewis have the desire to fight him again? I think Lennox Lewis got comfortable with winning the decision and said, you know what, that's good enough for me and I'm getting the fuck out. I think that tainted his legacy. I mean, you know, hey, he fought old Mike. Fuck. Mike wasn't Mike when he fought him. You get more credit for beating Holyfield twice than fighting that one Mike Tyson. You know, Mike was all on drugs and coke and shit and doing outbursts. Who really even knew Mike was in shape at that time? You know what I'm saying? 2 big cuts. I don't know about 2 big cuts. It was one fucked up cut. I can tell you that. It was one fucked up cut for sure. No, well, if it was from a fucking cut, it should have went to the scorecards. Honestly. Right? If it goes past 4 fucking rounds, it's supposed to go to the scorecards. But you know, that's rules. You see what I'm saying? But we're not gonna fucking go about on technicality. But yeah, it should have been a no contest. I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt, but he was losing. He was losing on the scorecards. And if I'm a champion, I wouldn't want to go out like that. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't want to go out with a guy that I know was beating me on the scorecards, because that wasn't a knockout. You know what I'm saying? That was not a knockout. Swollen eye and lip. Okay. Who had a swollen eye and lip? Vitali? Shit, so did Lennox. What the fuck? I mean, that's just swollen eyes. What does that mean? They both had fucking knots and shit. What are you trying to say? What's your point? What is your point? Your point is what? Snoogie Carl. Lennox Lewis is one of the greatest no matter what. Legs got knocked out by a certified crackhead. Yeah, well, yeah, he was. But to be fair, though, I think, to be fair, you know, McCall was a good fighter. Was a very good fighter. I mean, you know, his substance abuse is one thing. You know what I mean? I don't like to judge people like that. People go through shit, but you know, he was on something. He was definitely on something. But Lennox Lewis avenged that though. But you know, it was kind of, I don't know. I mean, I just expected more out of him. I don't see why that fight, you know, the way it ended, you know. And see, here's the thing though. It's all about your personality at the end of the day. See, Lennox Lewis acted as though he did something fucking special. He did not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the dude ended up cut. Motherfucker, the cut could have been by from any fucking thing. Could have been by a headbutt or whatever. But he was cut. So it wasn't the fact that you hurt this guy to put this guy down or to convince the referee to stop the fight. It wasn't like that. Okay? So him acting as though he did something fucking special, it was not. He didn't do anything special. That's my point. So someone like Mike Tyson wouldn't even, yeah, I fucking fucked him up. Yeah, no. Mike was been like, yo, he's a good fighter. Why you think when Mike got beat by Lennox Lewis, his loss was more admirable than Lennox Lewis's fucking win over Vitali Klitschko? That's what I'm talking about. See, you can be a winner, but an asshole, and people won't like you. Why do you think he's not fucking liked? Gets credit for beating an old Mike Tyson, but people want to give Lennox excuses that he was too old. Yeah, well, he did pretty fucking good to me. You know, Lennox Lewis was a hell of a fighter. You know, I would give him any fighter. I think I would see him beating any fighter now, including Joshua. He would beat Joshua. Maybe in a couple of years, Joshua advances, but you know, he would have beat Joshua. I mean, because the way he delivers his right and things like that, the way he attacks, he's been through some shit. He's jealous of AJ. But see, understand, AJ's personality, he ain't a fucking dickhead. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if AJ beats him. I'm gonna keep it real. I don't know about what in the ring he's a beast, but he's a fucking asshole. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Lennox Lewis, the way he conducted himself, now he's a little slower and shit, smokes a lot of weed and shit like that, and fucks up on commentary. That's Lennox Lewis now. You know, yeah, we've had words or whatever. I don't want to come off sounding biased, so that's why I try to keep that out of it. But Jerome Benjamin, what's up, brother? Kind of punch to you. Good morning. God damn, where you at? but really, Lennox Lewis, you know, okay, even like with David Tua, you know, oh, what do you call that, a left hook? That's not a left hook. I thought that was a little slap. You know, that type of shit. Like, yo, you don't even fucking respect fight. You're a fucking dickhead. So I don't like him. I never did like him. His fucking personality was whack. He was fucking, he was fucking dry. And then he was just like, you know what I mean? Like, he just wasn't that dude. And you can't say, oh, you got something against UK. That's a fucking lie. Because I like UK fighters, like I well love Mexican fighters there all over the world. So don't give me that bullshit. You can miss me with that. But Lennox Lewis, no, the things and the way he decided to answer questions and decided to be really defined who he was. That's why, yeah, he might have been Hall of Fame, whatever, but people always love Mike more. You know what I mean? That's why he does fucking envy Joshua, because he wanted what Joshua has without doing what he had to do. That's a fact. Nobody said that Joshua had to come to America do any fucking thing. He lost, but people still love him. He makes more fucking money and all that shit. And then he dissed them. So that story behind those guys, I've already counterpunched. But as far as me and Lennox Lewis, the reason why Lennox Lewis, in my book, I think he's an awesome fighter. He's an excellent, skillful fighter. You know what I mean? He's beat the guys. He's beat everybody he's been in the ring with. Even the losses, he's avenged them. Cool, I get that. But that doesn't change the fact that personality-wise, he was not elite. He was not up to par. His personality make him stink. You like, okay, just take my profession. I'm an actor and a stunt performer. Okay, there might be a guy that can do a stunt a lot better than me, but my personality is better. So I would get hired before them motherfuckers would. You could got a guy could fucking sprint up the walls like Spider-Man, but if he's a dickhead, nobody want to be around him. You see what I'm saying? Doesn't matter how good you are. You see what I mean? Yeah, he rematched Holyfield, but I mean, that's bullshit. He didn't have to rematch Holyfield. He beat Holyfield. That's not my point. You know, so all this here is due to Lennox Lewis not doing what he could have done and not having a certain, but I mean, if he's an asshole, what is he going to do? That's the way he was. But understand, he wasn't liked because of his personality. So it all comes down to the way you decide to treat people and the things that you say. But I mean, if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. But don't expect people to like you. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing about Lennox Lewis. See, even in those fucking press conferences, he was acting like he was like a dry, what's the word? He was a stale jerk. A fucking stale jerk. Like, he just, well, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Larry. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, yeah, I beat him. Yeah, see, he was going out. Like, how? Okay, he was going out. Prove it. Vitali was fading in the third round. Lewis went out on a high. I don't blame him. Like Kurt said, why stay in the sport? Well, I guess if he lost look, if you were down on the scorecards and the way that fight was going, it wasn't like he was just beating the shit out of Vitali. Those were two big guys, and we don't know how that would have went. See, the reason I say that, this is the heavyweight division, people. This isn't a situation where, oh, well, if it goes the way it's going. No, because one punch can change everything. How do I know that? Look at AJ and Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir was whooping AJ's ass since round 6, right? AJ put him down in round 5, right? Vladimir came back and put him down in round 6. Joshua was gassed. 6th, 7th, 8th, he was trying to gain momentum, and he was doing a little something. 9, 10, Klitschko was catching Joshua, swelling him up. Round 11, he gets caught with a big fucking shot, an uppercut, and takes him out of the game. But what I'm saying is, he had AJ fucking all over the place. He was gassed because he was too fucking big. So it was a good fucking fight. Probably the best fight of 2017 behind Thurman Porter. That was a pretty good fight too. That was a very, very good fight, actually. Joe Louis. Joe Louis is my favorite heavyweight. His situation was always going to be he wasn't loved. Now, Reality Ray, the question is, was he not loved because of his attitude, or was he okay? Did he act the way he acted because of his attitude, and therefore he acted like that, or or he was just naturally an asshole, and just because of that people didn't like him? That's the question of Lennox Lewis. But then again, we'll never know unless you ask him. You know what I mean? And it really didn't help. It really didn't help Lennox Lewis by taking sides against Anthony Joshua, knowing damn well you're biased against Joshua because Joshua didn't sign with your ass. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, guys, I got to go. I will go. You see me live, 9:30, Bill Haney. Be there in about, in an hour and a half. I will be set up, ready to go. Me and Bill, have your questions ready, okay? Because we are going to talk some lightweight boxing. That is the best fucking division around. And we have one of the managers of the best fighter around, Bill Haney, coming to you 9:30 Central Time, okay? So deduct or add or subtract on where the hell you're at in this world. Everybody be blessed, and I'll see you soon. Peace!